babe, you need to stop letting these men take up so much space in your head, okay? Your brain has some valuable real estate, and men do not deserve to take up this much of it. You are throwing away the potential of your life if you allow men to become the center of it. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about what you need to do in order to start living life on your own terms and live for yourself and not for other people. Centering men can look like a lot of different things, and I'm going to talk about them in more depth. But what they all have in common is you are putting someone else before you. You have created a situation where you are thinking about a man before you are thinking about yourself. And this could be a specific man. It could be someone you're interested in. It could be someone that you know and you're thinking about maybe potentially having a future with him. Or it could just be men, period, men generally. For example, when I was younger, I straightened my hair all the time because I was told by the millionaire matchmaker that men like straight hair. Now, granted, that was the antics of a 16-year-old. And sometimes you have these ideas implanted in your head as an impressionable and sensitive child, and then you don't question them as you get older. And I'm like, why am I straightening my hair? I actually prefer it curly. Like, who am I doing that for? I had to ask this question about a lot of things in my life. What am I doing for me versus what am I doing for this perceived sense of external validation from like some generic idea of what a man wants? Ultimately, in the end, it doesn't really matter what exactly your behaviors are if you are making someone else the center of your world. As Christina Yang taught us, you are the sun. Why are you orbiting someone else if you are the center of your own universe? And here's the thing you have to understand about decentering men. It's not about a single man. It's not about men, period. It's about what this male validation is giving you. You feel like it is more valid than other forms of self-validation. When you let someone else have that power over you, you are giving away control over the emotions in your own life. Are you taking how other people treat you, whether they react to you in a specific way, whether they give you a certain amount of attention or say certain things, are you allowing whatever they do or say to affect how you think and feel about yourself? What meaning are you applying to another person's behavior about your own existence? That is always what I come back to. If you're new here, my name is Charlotte, and I make videos for people who want to get out of their own damn way. We talk about tools and strategies to help you live the life that you love. If that sounds like something you're into, please subscribe and hit the bell. It really helps me out. And leave a comment. Let me know you exist. Let me know what you think of the video. In this video, we're going to talk about what it actually means to decenter men, whether you need to do it, what are the stakes here, like what happens if you don't decenter men, and of course, how. So stick around. Some housekeeping details. As with all of my videos, there's a link down below to download some notes that I gave you based on the content of this video. It's going to ask you for an email address, and just let me know if you want to opt into a future newsletter. I don't want anyone to get the newsletter that doesn't want it. Thank you so much. Also, on top of that, I'm a little angry right now. Like, I'm feeling a lot of anger because I was dealing with my health insurance this morning, and I'm getting hit with all these bills, and it's really frustrating. So I'm letting that anger move through my body, but this is the only time of the day I have to film this video. If you infer anger from me, that's where it's coming from. It's residual. I can't make it go away any faster. Maybe doing this video will help. So just an asterisk. And with that, let's get into it. What does it mean to actually decenter men? The first thing I want to say is decentering men is not about hating men. I actually feel like if you are filled with so much rage about men, then you are centering men in your life. Like, to feel angry about something means that you care about it, it has meaning, that you have allowed it to seep into your life in some way. And like, I know that you can poke some holes in that with certain scenarios and situations, but generally speaking, when you're like, I hate this group of people, or I hate this thing, I hate this high level concept, that means you're thinking about that thing a lot, right? And I get it. Patriarchal standards have caused harm to a lot of people, including men themselves. There is a lot to be angry over, but I really do think it is in your best interest to figure out how to release the anger. This is for you. It is not for the sake of men. I think you should bark at as many men as you want. Like, just become a rabid dog. I'm fine with that. Get them to stay away from you. But like, honestly, I don't want to hold on to the anger. I want to let it go. That's just me. I've actually thought about making a video about how to date men while hating men. I have a lot of thoughts on that, but I don't know if I want to deal with that comment section. Like, every time I try to make content that is about the heterosexual paradoxes of dating and how to deal with that, I come up with like unsatisfactory answers even for myself. And then also the comment sections just devolve into madness and anger, and I don't want to foster that kind of energy in my community. To me, decentering men means shifting the focus away from making men and romantic relationships the core of your identity or your happiness. This is about centering yourself, your goals, your emotional needs as your priority. It's living authentically for your own fulfillment rather than trying to conform to societal expectations of being desirable to men. It's really about avoiding the tendency to treat romantic relationships or even just romantic interest from a man as the marker of personal success. It's about living authentically for your own fulfillment rather than trying to conform to societal expectations based on what men might want. It's more about going from being low-key obsessed, like just having them in the back of your mind, you're preoccupied by men, and it's going from that to basically just like not prioritizing them. Like you just like, I don't care. I don't care if this text message wasn't perfectly crafted. I don't care if he texts me back. If he has other things to do and I'm not included, like then he's made his choice and it doesn't really affect me in the end. Like it doesn't matter in my life either way. And obviously that's sort of like at the beginning of a relationship. When you're in a more committed relationship with a man, it does get a little more complicated. Decentering men is about breaking free from this need, this craving of attention from men in order to validate you in some way, whether it is your desirability, your attractiveness, whether or not you're lovable. There is some adjective out there that you feel like you don't meet those standards and you need a man to tell you that you do. And that is at the core of the issue. When men no longer preoccupy a central place in your mind, when you fully own your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own actions, your own decisions, your own time, that is when you can design a life that you love. You will feel so good in that life. You are no longer attaching meaning about yourself based on the actions of another person. And that is when you get freedom. That is what I want for you. How do you know if you need to decenter men in your life? This is a tricky question because it can look like a lot of different things, centering men. And sometimes they are sneaky. I would have never told you that I was someone who centered men. I felt like I didn't do that. In a lot of ways, I did not because I'm like a consistently single person. I'm very comfortable being single. I have no trouble being alone with my own thoughts. Like I think I'm great and hilarious. And I never experienced boredom either. So like, love that about my brain. That's great. I was never one of those girls that was always texting with a guy. I never felt like I needed to have like a roster of men I was just texting with to feel okay. Men also very frequently expect you to center them. So it's normalized in a lot of ways. So like they expect you to move out of the way for them when you're walking down the street. They will spread their legs and take up armrests on public transportation. You know, like there are little ways that men take up more space in the world, maybe not so little. There are big ways that men take up more space in the world that women just kind of have to make ourselves smaller to accommodate them. And that's just always how it's been. And so it's almost difficult to see what has been made invisible in the world. I came up with some questions that maybe you can ask yourself. And I do really want to come up with like some sort of spectrum for decentering men. I need to think about it more, but like there's definitely a spectrum that you move in throughout your life and maybe even through the phases of dating someone that it's like, okay, am I centering this person too much? I'm going to think about that more. Leave your thoughts on that in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys think. Maybe we can come up as a community with like the decentering men matrix. That would be awesome. So here are the questions I'm going to read off my iPad. Does your happiness or self-esteem rely on male attention or validation? It's a pretty obvious one. Like, do you feel better when a man is telling you you're pretty and giving you attention, or do you feel like crap when you don't get that from any man in your life? Do you sacrifice hobbies, friendships, or career ambitions in pursuit of or to maintain a relationship with a man? You're waiting by the phone just to see if he calls. Like you're not making plans, you're getting ready, and you want to be ready at the drop of a hat in case he wants to hang out that night. Are you constantly texting with men? Like, is there a rotation of men replacing each other on your phone? Like you may not even be dating these men, but you like the affection that they give you. Are you using dating apps to get attention from men when you feel any sort of unpleasant emotion? Are you trying to make yourself feel better by having men give you attention? Do you feel incomplete or unfulfilled when you are single? When you are single, is your primary mission to try to find a partner, a boyfriend, a man? Are you always looking around when you're out to see what men are around you? And not as like a tactical safety thing. It's more of like, oh, he's cute. I wonder if like he's my future boyfriend. I wonder if I can get him to come over here. Blah, blah, blah. Like, is that like the primary thing on your mind when you go out a lot of times? Do you have a pattern of rebounding once a romantic relationship ends to find a new man because you feel like you need to replace the one you just lost or let go of. You could have broken up with him. Have you ever stayed in a relationship with a man because you felt like it was better than being single? Or you felt like you could not exist without him, or you felt like you wouldn't be as well off without him? Do romantic setbacks consume you and make it difficult to focus on other important aspects of your life? Do you find that you and your friends mostly talk about men and romantic interests when you hang out, or when you're texting, or when you're FaceTiming? What's the ratio of the discussion, girl? Gotta work on that. So those are some of the questions I came up with. Hopefully those can give you some insight about where you are. Again, remember, this is a spectrum. You may not be considered boy crazy, but you also do have like something in the back of your mind that's preoccupied about men. Could just be like how you dress. It could be how you wear your hair. And someone when you were 16 told you that men like it that way, and so you do that, right? And you're like, oh, hold on. Please be open-minded about this. So what happens if you don't do this work? What are the stakes here? I think that it's ultimately going to just lead you to not loving yourself. It's going to lead you to burnout, emotional burnout. You can't constantly be so swept up in other people and ignore yourself and your own needs and what you want and expect that you're going to live a fulfilling life. You're going to feel empty all the time. You're trying to fill yourself up with someone else. That will never work. It will erode your self-worth to constantly allow how other people treat you to determine how you feel about yourself. It can also ruin your female friendships. If you are constantly canceling plans because you want to be available for this random situationship that you have, your friends are not going to appreciate that. And honestly, I really think that decentering men in your life will lead you to healthier relationships with men, because it will give you the clarity to understand what you are seeing from this man. Like, is this man manipulating you? Is he having his own issues? I have so much clarity around men's BS that they think I'm psychic. When I go on dates, they think I'm psychic. I understand all of the therapy they need because I actually have thought about this stuff, and they honestly have not thought about it at all. That's the only difference between me understanding what they're going through and them being lost and feeling confused about themselves. And so many men hate themselves. They truly feel like they are defective. Once you start doing this work and actually distancing yourself from men, you will realize how truly defective they find themselves and how much shame they carry. And it's really upsetting. The thing you have to remember is the goal is not revenge. It's not matching toxic energy. We want to be unbothered. This is about reclaiming autonomy. It's not about hating men. It's not about getting even with them. It's literally just letting them go. It's when that dude starts acting out of pocket, you're like, I don't want this dude. Like, you need to deal with your crap. I'm not dealing with this for you. Again, you have to remember, I'm talking about like the beginning stages of relationships. When you actually have a friendship and a relationship with a man, that does not apply. I'm going to say that ad nauseum in this video, and people will still comment like, okay, women just hate men's feelings. Like, women don't want to hear. And I'm like, no. A side note though, and I'm going to start including tangents in my video because I think you guys like them. A side note is, I'm always suspicious of a man who comes on the internet and says something like, every time I share my emotions with women, they laugh in my face, or they get mad at me, or they react poorly. And while I do believe that there are women out there who have been conditioned to believe that men should not have feelings, those women are wrong as well. I want my man to have every range of feelings. There is also a subset of men I have noticed externalize every single feeling they have. And when you're externalizing a feeling, you are blaming the other person for you feeling that way. So when these men say they are expressing their emotions, they're actually not doing that. They are blaming the woman they're dating for how they're feeling. And the woman they're dating is like, what the hell, bro? Like, why are you taking this out on me? I didn't make you feel this way. Like, what is happening? When she rightly defends herself in the situation where he is blaming her for his unpleasant feelings, he interprets that as her not accepting his feelings, when that's not what's going on. He just does not have emotional regulation skills or the skills to communicate what he's feeling. You need to do this work for yourself. You need to decenter men for yourself, because you deserve to have a vibrant and full life that you are the center of, and not some random dude off of Hinge. You owe this to yourself. I don't know how more clearly to say that. You owe it to yourself to do this damn work. And if you feel resistance while watching this video, you need to do it more. I'm feeling silly goofy. I'm glad I'm not angry anymore. The insurance company really pissed me off. I wrote so many angry emails. Now it's time to get into how to take baby steps to decenter men. First practical thing, the most actionable thing I can tell you to do, is always going to be mindfulness. If you go back to all my videos, you will see a pattern. Every single time I'm telling you, observe your own thoughts. Observe what you're doing. I need you to make the unconscious conscious. That is always the first step. Notice when you are with your friends, maybe we're getting brunch, we're getting drinks, maybe you're on FaceTime, pay attention to how much time you spend talking about men and romantic interests. I would say if 40% of the discussion or more revolves around men, you need to course correct right now. You don't have enough going on in your life. Your friends don't know enough about you. You need to start telling them more about you that has nothing to do with the men you are interested in. And it doesn't even have to be you saying all 40%. If the total conversation between you and this other person is men is more than 40%, you need to course correct. That's the first step. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're with your friends and texting even. The second step, bucket list. I want you to write down every single thing you want out of life. Every single thing. Try to get to 300 things. I don't care how improbable it is. I don't care if it seems like you would need all of the resources in the world. I don't care what it is. Write it down. Okay, put it somewhere in your phone, in your journal, wherever it is. They could be big things like meeting Oprah. They could be small things like reading a book you've always wanted to read, but you've never made the time. Like write down 300 things. And it might take you like a week or two to do this if you're thinking about it consistently. Try to make the list as long as possible. And I want you to start executing on that list. Even before you finish this video, start thinking about what your list is. Take 10 minutes today at some point to add 10 things to this list. And the reason I want you to do this is I want you to be thinking about what you could be spending your time on other than boys. Pick one thing on that list, pick a small thing, pick a book, literally anything from that list and execute on it. We've taken 2 baby steps now. Oh my God, we're on a roll. The third recommendation I have is to really analyze how you dress and your appearance. Now, this one is difficult to parse because what is for me and what is for the men? I don't know. Like I really don't, like I have trouble parsing this for myself. I wear a lot of high collared shirts on screen because I feel it is distracting. I have a very large chest. And in real life, I actually do wear lower cut clothing because the way I see it, I'm carrying these girls around, right? Like they're heavy. My bras are minimum $60. I want to enjoy them myself. Is that for men or is that for me? I don't know. I really don't. And I think it's for me because I just gave you the rationale. I like my own boobs. Are men also looking at them? I see it. Yeah, I do. And I also have a Subway shirt. I don't show them on the subway. I'm in an enclosed space with people I don't know. We're covering it. I understand they're distracting. Is that for me? I don't really want the attention from men. I just like my own boobs. That's what I'm talking about. Like, am I straightening my hair because I like it straight? That was the style when I was in high school. Am I straightening it for that? Like, why am I doing this? This is going to take a lot of work. Like, this is going to take a lot of reflection. I allow myself to think about the cleavage thing. And I'm like, I think part of it might be for men. Like, it might be, I have decided I look hotter to other people when you can see this part of my body. I still enjoy my own boobs. I think they look great. But at the same time, I'm like, is that what I really need? Like, do I need to go out looking like that in order to feel hot? And the answer is no. And so I started challenging myself to find outfits and styles that I feel like I'm attractive in without depending on my cleavage. Somewhere along the way, the idea of like, oh, men like boobs and like you have boobs, that makes you hot. Like, like got fused in my brain. And it probably happened when I was a teenager, quite frankly. And so now at my big age of 33, I need to like parse that out, right? And so there is no end point to this. There's also no really wrong answer. Like the answer is whatever you've decided the answer is. And for me, I've decided the next step is challenging myself to find other styles that I feel attractive in that may not be as obvious as show your boobs. I still wear low cut stuff in the summer mostly when I'm like out and having fun with my friends, but like, you know, they are distracting. My friends even say like, your boobs are really distracting. I'm so sorry. I'm staring at them. I'm like, it's okay. I get it. I like them too. Okay, so if you're following along the video, you have started to be mindful of what you're talking about with your female friends. You are trying to create a bucket list and crossing off like the actionable stuff, like the low-hanging fruit stuff on that list. So you're sort of pouring into yourself in that way. And you're getting very critical about how you are dressing. Are you dressing for yourself or are you dressing for some like idea of what a man wants? So we've done those baby steps. But now this next step, the bigger one, get a hobby. Get a creative hobby where you are making something, it's a project, you have, maybe there's a community around it. So baking, lovely hobby. Like learning a craft, learning how to like create something, learning to knit. You could learn how to like take apart a car engine. Like I don't care what it is. You can learn graphic design, you can learn a new language if you want to do that. And that can also be a community-based experience, because the best way to learn a new language is to find people who are also learning that language or who know it already and will talk to you in that language. Volunteering is also a really wonderful thing. Volunteering with animals, volunteering with, people that need help. That is also a way to have a purpose that's like kind of bigger than you. Like you have something outside of yourself that's not necessarily another person. It's like doing good for like this thing that you care about. That's the type of meaning I want you to attach to things. Like I want you to attach meaning to things that have joy in them and like make you feel like you're making a difference. Like learning a craft is very fulfilling. It also fights anxiety when you have a creative hobby. The second next step task is going to be a challenge. Go as long as you possibly can without seeking any sort of male validation. And I mean it. Delete the apps or pause them, whatever. Stop texting any men that you are currently just chatting with over text, if that's you. If you go out with your friends, don't even look at men. Don't look at them. Don't think about them. You're not there for them. You are there to be with your friends. Any single instance in your life where you find that you have a preoccupation with men, like I want you to try to go as long as you can without enabling yourself in that way. And if you're doing this step, you have to get off the dating apps. Dating apps are a factory for external validation. I don't care what gender you are. It's like mostly male validation, because like women are getting a gazillion matches. And so like it will pump you with dopamine and endorphins, and like coming down from that's not fun, girl. Like, that's why dating apps make you feel so icky. Like you're shot up with a bunch of like happy feeling hormones, and then like they just go away. And you're like, I hate that. I hate it. It's not good for you. And the important part is the mindfulness. What are you feeling when you are not able to lean on men? So as you prevent yourself from seeking out that validation, you might start to feel the most anxiety you've ever felt in your life. You might start to feel really unsettled. Like there's going to be like physical sensations in your body of discomfort that you don't know what to do with. And I'm not exaggerating. Like this may happen to you. You may feel lonely, you may feel depressed, you may feel really bad about yourself, because for the first time you're sitting in these feelings of low self-worth and feeling like you need to cover up that need for validation, and like you're going to want to get it out of you. And honestly, stemming like that, what I just did, like shaking like that, is actually a really good idea. Like dance, move your body. I don't think we talk about the somatic nature, meaning of the body. Like I talk a lot about the mind. I talk a lot about what you can do like cognitively to make yourself feel better. Like you want to change the way you think, like your default thought patterns. That is the ultimate goal, because that will limit the amount of unpleasant emotions, like how much they affect you physically. But emotions are also something that are happening in the body. That's something you really need to remember. And so when you do start to feel unpleasant, shake it out. Shake it out. Like start shaking, start dancing, go for a run, go for a walk. Like really allow your body to let those feelings move through you. It is very important. And I find that a lot of people are disconnected from their bodies. I'm disconnected from my body. This is like something I am working on with myself, like how to start feeling where the emotion is in your body and how to release it. It's difficult. It takes a lot of practice. I'm not saying it's easy. Next, we're going to talk about how to date men while decentering men. So I just told you to stop seeking male validation, right? And you're like, wait, I'm allowed to date them? After some time has passed, yeah, you can date men while decentering them. Absolutely. That's the best way to do it. So how much time between like doing my little like experiments, right, and dating men should you allow to elapse? I can't answer that for you. I would say at least a month or two. Probably more. Honestly, I would go as long as you can, really. Okay, so how to adjust your dating approach while decentering men. Zero people like it when I say this, but you cannot make dating goal-oriented. I used to have the mindset of I'm going to go on one date a week and I'm going to meet my person. It's going to be a numbers game. I just need to keep at it and like treat it like a goal and I'll get into a relationship. No. That is a one-way ticket to misery, my friend. You're treating people like tasks. You're checking people off a list, and like it's kind of gross. It's like, okay, do I want my love life to be a factory? No, I don't. I want my love life to be a beautiful expression of my feminine desires. And for me, that is not goal-oriented. Dating is self-exploration. Same with like a hoe phase. A hoe phase is also self-exploration. You learn about yourself through interacting with other people. So when I say don't make dating goal-oriented, when I go into dating, the only goal I have is to get to know this person. What do they like? What are their preferences? Like, how do they feel about relationships? Like, what's their style in a relationship? Like, would we be compatible? In order to get to know them, I have to know myself. Like, there's this back and forth here. Like, I'm asking him questions, and hopefully he's asking me questions. Get to know this person, not thinking so much about like a future together, but like, could I be friends with this person? And I know men don't like being friends with women. I don't want to be friends with a man who doesn't want to be friends with me. Like, I'm fine with that. But that doesn't mean I have to think like them. I go into the date thinking, would I be friends with this person? And then I start to add layers to it. Like, you want to start off slow. I don't start thinking about like, would this person be my boyfriend in the future? Could I see myself marrying this person? That's too fast. I don't like that. Because that's when you start to like pedestalize them because you want it to work. Think about dating like you are getting to know yourself through another person. Obviously, you want to get to know that person. Like, I don't want to waste anyone's time. I don't want to tell anyone I'm interested when I'm not. That's not what I'm doing. I am learning about myself. I'm learning about like, oh, did I like it when he said that? Like, I'm paying attention to my reactions to him, right? I'm being mindful of how he is making me feel in that moment. Now, he's not responsible for my feelings. Like, I don't need to blame him for my feelings. But what I am saying is, are we compatible in that way? Like, he just made a joke that another person might find very funny, but I found it offensive. Okay, we think differently about the world. And now I know that about myself. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're getting to know yourself by paying attention to how you are reacting to the person you're on the date with. And it's not about making him feel more comfortable. It's not about laughing at a joke you did not find funny, right? That's what a person who is centering men might do. Like, laugh at a joke they found offensive because they want this man to like them. And also, it just makes the date low stakes when you don't care what the outcome is. Like, you're going in to learn about myself. I'm going in to observe. I'm going into like, it's like you're dating for information almost instead of dating to find a partner. The other thing about decentering men while dating men. You are not working around this man's schedule, all right? You have a busy life. You have work, you have friends, you have hobbies, you have interests, you need downtime. If you have set aside time for yourself that you don't want to give to him, don't give it to him. What I do in my schedule is I will set aside social time, essentially. Like, I have my 9-to-5 job, I'm commuting at this time, I'm like working out at this time, and I'm working on my YouTube channel, which is like my hobby at this time. And I will set aside this evening, this like Sunday morning, and like this for if anyone wants to hang out. I will do this for friends, and that's what I do for men as well. And I absolutely want to make time for other people, but not at the expense of my own well-being, not at the expense of making myself more anxious, not at the expense of like foregoing working on something I care about or exercising or getting enough sleep. So that's what I recommend you do. Like, set aside a few times in the week where you're like, I will go on a date at these times. And then when you're planning the date, it makes it easier. It's like, hey, I am free Thursday evening and Sunday morning if you want to do coffee, or on Thursday evening if you want to go check out this bar, whatever. You're making it clear that you want to see him, because I also don't want you sending mixed signals to these guys. Like, I know people talk about how you need to get them to chase you. I'm like, don't do that. Please, that's another video. They're literally just teaching you how to cosplay like secure attachment. I don't like by like wait him out. Like, don't text him immediately. I'm like, you're cosplaying secure attachment. If you're actually busy, like, you would text him whenever you have time to text him. It might be immediately when he texted you. It might be like 3 hours later because you didn't look at your phone for 3 hours because you were doing something else. You know, like, stop overthinking that. Stop. Just be busy. Just actually have a life. And then you'll text him whenever you end up texting him. Okay, that was the anger from the insurance company coming out. I'm so sorry. So what I'm getting at here is just like set boundaries that make sense, not for the sake of setting boundaries, just like for the sake of making your life easier. You want to coexist with this man. Do what works for you. Don't inconvenience yourself just for his sake. That's what I'm getting at. The final piece of advice I have for if you are dating men while trying to decenter men is do not envision a future with every single guy you date. I don't want you thinking about a future with that man until like date 5. What is that? Like 5-10 hours of your life with this man? You've spent 10 hours with him at most, and you're already thinking about having his babies? No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Please. Like, sure, it's only natural to, if you want kids, it's only natural to think like, okay, what kind of father would he be? But it's very different to have a hypothetical conversation with yourself about whether he is qualified to be a father and imagining what your kids would look like. You see what I'm saying, right? Like, do not allow yourself to get into that fantasy world of like imagining a future with him. There is a big difference between asking yourself whether you are compatible with this person and imagining like a whole ass life with this man. He's a random man. Please don't do that. Like, give it some time. It's fun to visualize. I'm very into manifestation. I get it. But at the same time, I do not want you to get into a space of limerence or like pedestalizing this guy, because then you don't see him for who he really is. When you start to imagine a ideal, like picturesque future with this person, your brain will not allow you to see the reality of that person because you prefer the fantasy. And that's only natural to have happen. So just don't fantasize. That's the goal. Don't fantasize. Thank you so much for getting to the end. I really appreciate you being here. I could talk about this stuff for literal hours, so I made you a playlist about intentional dating. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment and let me know what you thought, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.